What if an extraterrestrial princess crash-landed on Earth and found an unexpected ally in a stray dog? This unplanned encounter sparks a bond that could be the key to intergalactic peace or chaos. As they navigate unknown terrains and unforeseen enemies, alliances form and ethical dilemmas arise. Would you sacrifice your values to bridge worlds and ensure survival? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, among swirling nebulae and distant stars, the once mighty starship of Princess Lyra of the Asari was now a shadow of its former glory. The brutal civil war on her home planet had taken its toll, rendering the ship nearly defenseless and in critical disrepair. Plasma fires flickered across the hull, and the artificial gravity wavered, causing brief moments of weightlessness to unsettle the few remaining crew members. Lyra's heart pounded against her ribcage as she initiated the emergency protocols. The blue and green orb of Earth emerged on their navigation charts, a planet barely noted in their archives. The ship lurched violently as it broke through Earth's atmosphere. Alarms blared, and the metallic groans of the ship bending under stress filled the corridors. The crew, loyal to their princess, worked tirelessly to stabilize the descent, their faces etched with determination and fear. Despite their efforts, the system's failures were overwhelming. Lyra, with her royal bearing and unwavering resolve, took control. Her fingers flew across the hollow controls, initiating a crash landing sequence. The ship's hull, designed for space, groaned under the atmospheric pressure, and heat shields strained against the fiery entry. As the ground rushed up to meet them, the dense, lush forest below offered a semblance of hope, cushioning the fall. The impact was jarring. The starship tore through the canopy, splintering trees and scattering wildlife. Debris scattered across the crash site, a far cry from the regal vessel it once was. Lyra stumbled out of the wreckage, her advanced suit, the pride of Asari technology, humming with life-saving functions. The suit's nano-weave fabric adjusted to Earth's gravity and atmosphere, instantly calibrating to protect and sustain her. Princess Lyra, heir to the throne of the Asari, was a figure of grace and strength. Her silvery blue skin, a trait of her royal lineage, shimmered faintly under the alien sun. Her eyes, an ethereal violet, scanned the surroundings with a mix of wariness and determination. Her long, flowing hair, a cascade of midnight blue, contrasted sharply with the vibrant greenery around her. Lyra was not just a princess but a warrior, trained in both combat and diplomacy, burdened with the responsibility of her people's survival. The forest around her was alive with unfamiliar sounds and scents. Birds chirped in a cacophony, insects buzzed, and small mammals rustled through the underbrush. This was a world both alien and beautiful to her eyes. Her suit's sensors pinged softly, registering forms of life and solubility conditions. Suddenly, from the shadows of the tall oaks and the ferns, a scruffy, abandoned dog emerged. The dog, fur matted and eyes wary, approached with cautious curiosity, sniffing the alien presence. His brown eyes met hers, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. This stray, whom Lyra would come to call Argos, seemed alone in this forest, much like herself. Argos's appearance told a story of hardship and resilience. His fur was a tangled mess of dirt and leaves, his ribs visible under the thin layer of muscle. Despite his rough exterior, his eyes held a spark of intelligence and an almost uncanny understanding of the stranger before him. The bond formed was instantaneous and profound, a silent alliance born out of necessity and mutual respect. Lyra's advanced suit was a marvel of Asari engineering. It monitored her vitals, enhanced her strength, and provided her with a wealth of information about her surroundings. However, Despite its capabilities, it couldn't replace the primal survival instincts that Argos possessed. The stray dog became her guide, leading her to food and water sources, teaching her the ways of this unfamiliar wilderness. They navigated the labyrinthine forest together, forging a path through dense foliage and tangled vines. The days were long, each one melding into the next as they traversed the vast expanse of trees. Every night, they huddled together for warmth and companionship, the crackling firelight casting dancing shadows on the forest floor. It was a strange companionship. A princess from the stars and a stray dog, yet it was one of unspoken mutual survival. Lyra learned to read the subtle signs of the forest, the rustling of leaves that signaled the approach of predators, the scents carried on the wind, the trails of animals etched into the earth. Argos, in turn, seemed to sense her inner turmoil and offered silent comfort with his steadfast presence. Days turned into weeks, testing their resilience. Each morning, the sun filtered through the canopy, casting dappled light on their journey. The forest was a place of constant wonder and danger, the beauty of blooming flowers juxtaposed with the lurking threats of predators. Lyra's advanced suit, while a marvel of technology, couldn't account for the sheer unpredictability of Earth's ecosystem. Yet, through it all, Argos guided her with an almost mystical sense, a bond forged in the fires of survival. One fateful day, their journey took an unexpected turn. Exhausted and on the brink of despair, they stumbled upon a clearing, a vast open space that seemed out of place in the dense forest. The sound of human voices reached their ears, a group of scientists on an expedition. This group, led by Dr. Ethan Shaw, a brilliant but disillusioned astrophysicist, was exploring these remote woods in search of rare botanical specimens. Dr. Shaw's angular features and perpetually furrowed brow spoke of a man haunted by the vast unknowns of the universe. His once dark hair was streaked with silver, a testament to years spent unraveling cosmic mysteries. The scientists froze, their eyes widening as they took in the sight of Lyra. Her otherworldly appearance left them in awe. Her silvery blue skin, the regal bearing despite her bedraggled state, and the advanced suit that protected her. Dr. Shaw, ever the rational mind, quickly regained his composure and approached her. The initial shock gave way to curiosity and a profound sense of responsibility. They listened intently as Lyra recounted her tale of woe, of a planet in turmoil, a starship in ruins, and a princess far from home. Compelled by the gravity of her situation, the scientists resolved to help. Dr. Shaw, though disillusioned with human bureaucracy and the often painstakingly slow process of scientific discovery, found a renewed sense of purpose. He saw in Lyra not just an opportunity for groundbreaking research, but a chance for humanity to play a part in interstellar matters of great consequence. The team set to work, their collective expertise focused on repairing Lyra's damaged ship. As they labored day and night, an unspoken bond developed between Lyra and the humans. Shared tasks and quiet conversations around campfires drew them closer. The scientists were continually astonished by the advanced technology of Lyra's vessel, the materials, the energy sources, the navigation systems that far surpassed anything known on Earth. Navigating the tangled vines and dense foliage, Princess Lyra and her canine companion forged a path through the earthy labyrinth of the forest. The alien princess, draped in the glistening fabric of her advanced suit, moved with a grace that contrasted the wild and chaotic surroundings. Her suit, a piece of Asari technology, hummed faintly, filtering air and providing sustenance, but even this marvel of engineering was beginning to show signs of strain under Earth's unique atmosphere. Days stretched into weeks, their journey a relentless test of endurance. Each night, the canopy above formed a star-studded dome, a celestial reminder of the distance Lyra had traveled. The melodious chirping of unfamiliar insects filled the air, mingling with the rustling leaves stirred by unseen creatures. In moments of stillness, Lyra stared at the sky, yearning for some semblance of her home. The dog, whom she named Kilo, became indispensable. Kilo's instincts guided them to hidden water sources and small prey they could hunt. Despite the language barrier, an unspoken understanding blossomed between them, a silent dance of survival. Lyra began to admire the resilience of Earth's native life forms. The hardships became a poignant parallel to the struggles she was fleeing, both species striving for continuity amidst chaos. One particularly blistering afternoon, the sun glaring fiercely through breaks in the canopy, they stumbled into a clearing. The clearing harbored a small stream, its gentle babble a melodic reprieve from the oppressive silence. Lyra knelt beside the stream, drinking deeply, her weary fingers twirling in the cool water. Kilo lapped beside her, his tail wagging in rare contentment. Then came the noise, a low hum of conversation, muddied by rustling leaves. Lyra's body tensed, and Kilo's ears pricked up. Concealing herself behind a broad tree trunk, she peered cautiously toward the source of the sound. Emerging from the forest were humans, their faces marked by curiosity and bafflement. They were clearly an organized group, equipped with cutting-edge exploration gear, marked with the insignias of various scientific institutions. At their forefront was Dr. Ethan Shaw, a man whose brilliance was matched only by the sorrow etched into the corners of his eyes. His once black hair was threaded with streaks of silver, evidence of a career spent chasing the elusive mysteries of the cosmos. His team fanned out behind him, paleontologists, botanists, and physicists, each one a fragment of a grand intellectual mosaic. When their eyes met, Lyra felt the weight of her alien nature press heavily upon her. Her luminescent blue skin and elliptical eyes were a stark contrast to the human's familiar appearances. A ripple of shock traveled through the group, followed by a cautious approach led by Dr. Shaw. Despite their initial trepidation, a mutual recognition of desperation and hope bridged the gap between them. Dr. Shaw, ever the keen observer, noted the intricate design of Lyra's suit and the sophisticated aura of her being. His initial skepticism shifted to awe as she described, with the limited vocabulary of her translator chip, the plight of her people. The Asari, a once proud civilization, now fragmented by war, its future dangling by fragile threads. The scientists stood entranced. The implications of Lyra's revelations were immense. Here was an opportunity to touch the very fabric of the universe's vast tapestry. However, it wasn't merely curiosity that drove them, it was an unspoken consensus about a moral duty. The knowledge they could gain was secondary to helping this otherworldly being in distress. As they began their work on Lyra's damaged vessel, an endeavor filled with both galvanizing excitement and technical challenges, their collaborative spirit grew. The ship, now a patchwork of human ingenuity and alien technology, became a symbol of their shared endeavor. Lyra guided them through the nuances of Asari engineering, her explanations punctuated by memories of her father, a revered engineer back on her home planet. The repair process was labor-intensive but profoundly enlightening. Humans and alien toiled side by side, each bringing their unique strengths. A sense of unity fostered by shared purpose and mutual respect enveloped the group. Lyra shared stories of Asari culture, speaking of their art, philosophy, and the elegance of their lost cities. In return, the scientists gave Lyra insights into Earth's diverse ecosystems and the resilience of its people. But the tranquility was fleeting. As nocturnal creatures went about their nightly rituals, unseen eyes watched from the shadows. The shiver that periodically ran down Lyra's spine was not merely the chill of the night but a dark premonition. The Vox had arrived. The Vox were a genetically engineered race, ruthless and single-minded in their pursuit of conquest. They had dog-like snouts, heavily armored anthropomorphic bodies, and eyes that glowed with a predatory fire. They had followed the quantum trail of Lyra's ship, intent on capturing her, an asset too valuable to escape their grasp. Lyra's heart sank when Dr. Shaw's instruments detected the anomalously high-energy signature indicative of Vox weaponry. The tranquil forest now seemed like a fragile bubble, on the brink of being burst by sinister forces. The team's resolve hardened as they grasped the stakes. It was no longer just about repairing a ship but staving off an existential threat. The Vox possessed technology far surpassing Earth's, and their forces were relentless hunters. The human-constructed traps were primitive in comparison, but necessity honed their creativity. Leveraging the dense forest terrain, they set up ambush points and diversionary obstacles. Each trap, an interplay of human ingenuity and insights from Lyra's tactical knowledge. The days bled into each other, an unending cycle of tension and vigilant preparation. Every rustle in the underbrush, every stray sound was scrutinized. Bonds forged in the forge of adversity grew stronger. The scientists, not warriors by any measure, found themselves adapting, their minds sharpened by the high stakes. As the inevitable clash approached, even Kilo sensed the shift. His alertness heightened, staying close to Lyra, protective and loyal. When the first Vox scout clashed with one of their traps, the true scale of the forthcoming battle became brutally apparent. The forest echoed with the shrieks of the ensnared Vox, followed by the guttural growls of its comrades, signaling the commencement of their attack. Fierce clashes erupted within the forest depths. The humans' rudimentary traps initially gave them a slight edge, but the Vox adapted swiftly, counteracting their strategies. The once serene forest was now ablaze with the fracas of conflict, neon streaks of Vox energy weapons snaking through the trees. Ethereal echoes of Lyra's homeworld clashed with the visceral rawness of Earth's primal landscapes. In the eye of the storm, Lyra's alien presence became a beacon of hope. She moved with an elegance that seemed almost choreographed, her advanced suit's energy bursts precise and devastating. Hidden in the shadows of ancient oaks and conifers, the Vox lay in wait, their technology cloaked in a shroud of invisibility. They were ruthless, relentless, driven by a primal need to capture Princess Lyra and her advanced Asari technology. These pursuers were remnants of a broken alliance, now transformed into an antagonistic force, each member hardened by years of conflict and betrayal. The Vox had honed their skills in the art of siege and subterfuge, masters of deception capable of bending light to render themselves unseen. Lyra's instincts had warned her, even before she saw the telltale signs of their presence. Rustling foliage where no wind blew and the faint crackle of energy that only she could detect. The scientists, oblivious to these subtle cues, continued their work on her ship, a fusion of advanced quantum mechanics and organic material, each part a testament to her people's ingenuity. The midnight hues of the Asari vessel contrasted sharply with Earth's greens and browns, a surreal structure seemingly grown rather than built. The camp where Lyra and the scientists collaborated had transformed from a temporary fix to something resembling a fortified base. Makeshift barriers of felled timber encircled the site, while scavenged wires and circuits lay scattered around, evidence of their frenetic attempts to repair the vessel. Inside one of the larger tents illuminated by a dim spotlight, Lyra and Dr. Ethan Shaw pored over holographic schematics. The blue-green luminescence highlighted their faces, etched with worry but driven by determination. A sense of quiet desperation had settled over the group. Rations were running low, and the forest, initially a sanctuary, now felt claustrophobic. Trust, previously an abundant resource, began to fray under the stress of their situation. Lyra had shared the Vox's tactics with them: silent approach, sudden strikes, and psychological warfare. Dr. Shaw, a man of stoic disposition and sharp intellect, had taken the lead in devising their countermeasures. Utilizing Earth's unique topography, they turned their camp into a death trap for any would-be assailants. Booby traps, both rudimentary and technologically sophisticated, dotted the forest perimeter. Wires linked to alarms strung between trees, hidden pitfalls that could be triggered by pressure plates disguised as simple underbrush. The deeper within the forest, more elaborate measures awaited. Holographic decoys and electromagnetic pulses designed to disrupt the Vox's cloaking devices. The tension grew thicker with each passing hour, a silent countdown to an inevitable confrontation. One night, as a cold fog rolled in, Lyra detected an anomaly. The advanced sensors embedded in her suit had discerned an energy surge, a telltale sign of Vox movement. Her heart skipped a beat as she relayed the information to Shaw, their communications an intricate blend of technical jargon and survivalist urgency. The team, sleep-deprived and on edge, mobilized quickly. They fell into positions along the perimeter, hastily constructed barricades serving as their only protection. The forest, bathed in the eerie glow of moonlight, became a battlefield. Shadows slithered between trees, the Vox scouts moving with spectral efficiency. Harsh beams of light pierced the darkness as handheld scanners attempted to pinpoint their enemies. The first collision was swift and brutal. Alarms blared, followed by the unmistakable sound of energy weapons discharging. Trees exploded into splinters, and the earth itself seemed to convulse under the fury of the battle. Dr. Shaw, maintaining a calm facade, coordinated their defenses from the command tent. His eyes darted between monitors displaying sensor data and direct feeds from the scouts' body cams. Commands flowed from him with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra, each instruction transforming chaos into strategy. He directed fire teams to flank the Vox, deploying electromagnetic bursts that shimmered like ripples in the air, revealing the hunters' positions momentarily before the curtain of invisibility fell once more. Amidst the cacophony, Lyra moved with the grace of a seasoned warrior. Her Asari training, combined with Earth's gravity, made her agile and almost superhuman in her reflexes. Her suit's built-in energy shield absorbed and deflected attacks as she unleashed a torrent of counter-fire from her plasma rifle. Her face, set in a mask of focused intensity, betrayed no hint of fear, only the resolve of someone determined to protect her new allies. The Vox's assault was relentless, each wave testing the humans' and Lyra's resolve. Explosions peppered the landscape, firefights illuminated the nocturnal gloom, and the air thrummed with the agonized cries of the wounded. But for every human or Asari who fell, a Vox invader was neutralized, the battle lines shifting yet holding. The turning point came when the team implemented a daring gambit. Using the ship's partially restored communication array, they broadcast a massive electromagnetic pulse, disrupting the Vox's cloaking fields completely. Panic rippled through the Vox ranks as their invisibility shattered, exposing them to concentrated fire. Dr. Shaw seized the moment, ordering an all-out offensive. The humans pushed forward with renewed vigor, their technological inferiority countered by sheer tenacity and the strategic brilliance of their leader. As dawn broke, the forest was a tableau of devastation. Smoke wafted from charred trees, craters pocked the ground, and the once serene wilderness was a shattered battlefield. The survivors, battered but victorious, regrouped to assess the situation. The Vox had retreated, their remnant forces scattering like leaves in the wind. Lyra, her armor scorched and her expression weary but resolute, approached Shaw. Their eyes met in a silent exchange of gratitude and mutual respect. The ephemeral alliance, forged in the crucible of battle, had survived its first true test. Yet, the specter of the Vox loomed large. This confrontation was but a skirmish in a far grander war, a war that had now spilled onto Earth. The stakes, already astronomical, had ascended to an even higher echelon. The aftermath of their victory was bittersweet. Among the fallen were individuals who had become more than colleagues, friends forged in the fires of adversity. The weight of loss pressed heavily on everyone. As they salvaged what they could from the wreckage, the forest stood as a somber reminder of what had been sacrificed. The camp, now fortified even further, became a symbol of defiance and hope. With the Vox temporarily repelled, Lyra and Shaw directed their efforts toward completing the repairs on her ship. The scientists worked ceaselessly, their dedication tempered by the stark realization that time was a luxury they could no longer afford. New preparations began. Satellite-based early warning systems were hacked to provide broader surveillance, drone patrols became more frequent, and a makeshift infirmary was set up to tend to the wounded. Despite their perilous circumstances, there was an undercurrent of camaraderie, a bond forged amid shared hardship and unified purpose. The buzzing of insects filled the air as moonlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. Princess Lyra and the scientists worked quietly yet fervently, aware that every second counted. The brilliant luminescence of Lyra's advanced tools contrasted starkly with the rudimentary equipment the humans could muster, lighting up the small clearing with a ghostly glow. Dr. Ethan Shaw, a figure of rugged determination and quiet intellect, coordinated efforts with unwavering focus, his mind grappling with the sheer scope of challenges they faced. As they toiled, a palpable tension loomed, an unspoken dread of impending doom. Just beyond the tree line, the Vox, creatures of nightmarish visage with their bioluminescent eyes and sinewy forms, waited in calculated silence. Predators and soldiers, their anatomy evolved for war and conquest, each wore armor that shimmered with technological mastery, a chillingly beautiful display of malevolent engineering. The lead Vox, Torek, exuded an air of cold ruthlessness. His eyes, a burning amber of predatory focus, scanned for movement, his thoughts only on the capture of Princess Lyra and the plundering of Earth's nascent potential as a strategic asset. Suddenly, the tranquil night was shattered by the roar of engines. Local authorities had arrived. Their presence, though welcomed, brought with it a cacophony of militaristic preparations. Heavy military vehicles rolled into the clearing, their armored surfaces gleaming under the stark artificial lights, contrasting against the organic backdrop of the forest. Soldiers disembarked, their movements synchronized and purposeful, their faces masked by expressions of grim resolve. As the two forces stood at the precipice of confrontation, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Torek, recognizing the sudden disadvantage, signaled a retreat to more advantageous terrain. The Vox melted back into the darkness, leaving behind only their lingering presence and the oppressive silence that heralded their return. The local authorities, led by Captain Matthews, began hastily setting up a defensive perimeter. His linear scar, cutting a stark line across his rugged face, told stories of countless battles fought and hard won. He approached Lyra, his eyes scanning her, and the heavily damaged starship behind her, a silent acknowledgement of the strangeness and gravity of their alliance. As the moments ticked by, fear and adrenaline boiling over into the collective consciousness of the defenders, they braced themselves against the upcoming tide of the Vox assault. The night sky above them seemed to pulse and throb with an unspoken urgency, each star a silent witness to the unfolding chaos. The first clash was a whirlwind of chaos. The Vox attacked with a ferocity that spoke of desperation and bloodlust. Weapons of alien design unleashed beams of crackling energy, searing through the air and deflecting off the armored vehicles of the defenders. Explosions erupted. The forest, once a cradle of serene life, became a battlefield painted with fire and destruction. Princess Lyra, though regal and composed, fought with unwavering precision. Her technoplasma blade, an artifact of her people, glimmered brightly with each strike, an elegant yet deadly dance that reflected her royal training. Her every move was a blend of grace and lethal efficiency. Ethan Shaw, no soldier but driven by fierce protectiveness of their mission, used his intellect to coordinate the defense, civilian instincts adapting rapidly to tactics of survival. Despite their ferocity, the Vox were met with unyielding resistance. The human soldiers, their faces set with grim dedication, fought with unsparing courage. The clashing of weapons, the cries of determination and pain, and the ever-present roar of combat intertwined into a cacophony of war. The dog, ever loyal, dashed through the fray, an incongruous yet vital participant in this battle for survival. Wave after wave of the Vox were repelled, their numbers dwindling. Tired but resolute, Earth's defenders began to turn the tide. Captain Matthews and his squad executed a well-timed offensive push, breaking the Vox formation and forcing a hasty retreat from their remaining numbers. As the battle wore on, a peculiar silence fell. The Vox, battered and demoralized, melted back into the forest, their eerie glow diminishing until it vanished into the shadows entirely. It was an eerie, uneasy silence, a temporary respite in a war that seemed far from over. As dawn approached, casting its first light on the ravaged clearing, the survivors took stock of the night's cost. The ground was scorched and blackened, and many lay wounded. However, amid their shared exhaustion and pain, there was an unmistakable sense of victory. They had held the line and protected this world from a far-reaching threat. Princess Lyra, her body bearing numerous marks of combat, stood regal despite her weariness. She addressed the gathered, speaking of the broader galactic conflict and the precarious balance that now extended to their world. Her words were tinged with both a solemn gravity and a spark of hope, emphasizing that Earth was no longer isolated but part of a much larger cosmic tapestry. She underscored the universal values of peace, unity, and mutual respect, hoping to plant seeds of an alliance that could transcend the stars. Her explanations were met with a range of emotions: skepticism, amazement, and hope. People began to comprehend the weight of their newfound place in the universe, grasping the delicate interstellar balance that Lyra sought to protect. Dr. Ethan Shaw felt an immediate connection to her vision, his scientific curiosity and humanitarian spirit ignited by the possibilities this alliance presented. In the aftermath, the scientists and military personnel worked together to further stabilize Lyra's ship. As they repaired the damaged vessel, a palpable sense of camaraderie formed, interlacing lives, stories, and futures. Each rivet fixed, each panel restored became a symbol of the bridges being built between two worlds. Yet, amid the diligent work, the specter of war's next chapter loomed. Though the immediate threat had been repelled, deep within the forest, the remaining Vox regrouped, their eyes still burning with predatory intent. They weren't defeated, merely delayed. Their malevolent gaze now turned toward new strategies, plotting how to exploit the tentative alliances forming. Without warning, an urgent report came through Captain Matthews' communication device. Satellite images indicated a sudden surge in heat signatures miles away from the battleground, revealing a gathering fleet of unfamiliar ships hovering just beyond the edge of the atmosphere. Eyes widened, and breaths were held. This was far from over. Princess Lyra and her newfound allies exchanged glances. The danger hadn't passed, it had merely evolved. With a silent agreement, they returned to their tasks, determined to be ready for whatever the universe would throw at them next. As dawn's light continued to break through the canopy, casting long shadows on the forest floor, the enormity of their situation settled in. The dense canopy of the forest offered a surreal tranquility as Princess Lyra and her allies reveled in their hard-fought victory. The air was tinged with the sharp scent of damp earth, intertwined with the lingering residue of spent energy from interstellar combat. The Vox, once formidable foes, had retreated, licking their wounds and vowing inevitable retribution. But for now, there was a hard-won, if uneasy, peace. Gathered around Lyra's nearly restored starship, the group of scientists, soldiers, and the loyal stray dog, now affectionately named Cosmos, contemplated the magnitude of the moment. The spaceship stood as a beacon of intergalactic hope, its sleek, metallic exterior gleaming under the dappled sunlight that pierced through the thick foliage. Dr. Ethan Shaw felt a blend of exhaustion and exhilaration. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but the broader implications weighed heavily on him. Lyra's tales of the Asari civilization, its rich history, and the devastating civil war that led her here provided a poignant backdrop to the events that had just unfolded. Her regal demeanor, even in moments of vulnerability, conveyed a sense of duty not just to her people, but now to humanity as well. As the technicians worked on the final touches of the spacecraft repairs, the scientific team gathered data meticulously, mapping out the advanced technology that Lyra's vessel had to offer. This was a treasure trove unlike any they had ever encountered, far beyond the realms of their most ambitious dreams. Yet, beyond the technology and the novel scientific insights, it was the cultural exchange, the stories, and the understanding that had left an indelible mark on their hearts. Lyra, despite her battle-scarred exterior, exuded an aura of serenity. There was an inner strength that belied her delicate appearance. She approached Dr. Shaw, her eyes filled with both gratitude and determination. Together, they initiated the protocol for the diplomatic communication that would eventually transcend planetary boundaries, beginning to weave the threads of an unprecedented alliance. The dog, Cosmos, seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. He stood faithfully at Lyra's side, embodying the bond that had formed out of shared adversity and mutual respect. His presence was a comforting constant, a reminder of how this unplanned journey had brought disparate beings together, forging connections that defied expectations. In this pocket of the forest, where human ingenuity met alien technology, a series of historically significant messages were relayed. Lyra, with her immaculate diction and noble bearing, addressed Earth's leaders through a holographic interface. She spoke of her people's strife, the shared need for peace, and the boundless potential of a united front against adversities that transcended individual worlds. Local authorities and global leaders were equally enthralled and cautious. The alliance with an extraterrestrial species posed uncertainties, but Lyra's earnestness and the testament of those who had fought beside her elevated the discourse to one of possibility rather than fear. The imagery of Earth's defenders and an alien princess standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy resonated deeply, sparking a collective consciousness toward universal unity. The shared intelligence bore fruit quickly. Lyra's ship contained schematics and technology that could revolutionize Earth's approach to energy, medicine, and space travel. The foundations were laid for a new era of exploration and cooperation, igniting the flames of curiosity and ambition in countless minds across the globe. As the final preparations for Lyra's departure were completed, an unspoken solemnity filled the air. Friendships that transcended cultural and species barriers had formed, altering their perceptions and aspirations irrevocably. They had glimpsed a broader universe, full of conflict and promise, and they knew their roles in this unfolding drama were just beginning. Lyra stood by her spacecraft, addressing her allies with heartfelt words. This journey, though unexpected, has been the catalyst for something profound. I leave you not as a stranger, but as an ally and a friend. Our destinies are now intertwined, and together, we can forge a path toward a future that celebrates our shared existence. The scientists, soldiers, and Cosmos watched as the hatch of the spacecraft closed with a soft hiss. Lyra's ship rose slowly, its engines a gentle hum that grew to a powerful roar. As it ascended, breaking through the canopy and disappearing into the expanse of the sky, the Earthbound allies felt a surge of inspiration. This was not an end, but a new beginning. The chapter concluded with an aura of both mystery and hope. The forest, now a historical site of first contact and battle, stood as a living testament to the events that had transpired. Humanity had been forever changed, armed with new knowledge, new allies, and a profound sense of interconnectedness. As the nights grew quieter and the skies clearer, the world below buzzed with the potential of what was to come. The union between Lyra and her Earth allies was the dawn of a new era, a powerful reminder that bravery, unity, and the willingness to embrace the unknown could turn even the most unlikely alliances into the harbingers of a brighter, collective future. The story of Lyra and Cosmos, of humans and Asari, would echo through the annals of history, a beacon of possibility, urging the universe to look within and beyond for the boundless potential that lay in every star, every soul. And thus, with the spaceship fading into the cosmos, the narrative left a lingering sensation of awe and anticipation, a poignant finale that opened the door to infinite adventures yet to be written. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.